Sometimes we might have a virtual method, but there is really no meaningful way to define that method. A great example of that is the draw method of the widget class. Now look at the implementation of this method. Here we're simply printing a message that's purely for demonstration, but in a real framework, how can we draw a widget? We don't know. Each kind of widget should have its own drawing algorithm. So how we draw a text box is different from a checkbox. But there is no meaningful way to define how a widget should be drawn. This is where we use a pure virtual method. So on this line where we declare this method, we assign this to 0. Now we say we have a pure virtual method. And with this, we can remove the definition of this method from here. Okay? Now, if a class has at least one pure virtual method, we refer to that class as abstract. Now, abstract classes cannot be instantiated, so we cannot create new objects from them. So if we go to our main file, and here in the main function, we try to create a variable of type widget, we get a compilation error saying variable type widget is an abstract class. And that makes perfect sense. Because this class is abstract, we don't have an implementation for this method. So what should happen if we create a widget object and call its draw method? Doesn't make sense. So abstract classes cannot be instantiated. And that means we cannot have a variable of type an abstract class. And similarly, we cannot use them in function parameters either. So if I remove the reference here, we get the same compilation error as before. But we can still use abstract classes as references or pointers because we need them for polymorphic behavior. So let me revert this back. Okay, so abstract classes cannot be instantiated. They exist purely to be inherited, purely to provide some code to other classes. Now, when inheriting abstract classes, if we don't overwrite their pure virtual methods, our new class will be abstract as well. For example, in our textbox class, if we don't override this pure virtual method, we'll inherit it as a pure virtual method. So the textbox class will also be abstract. So in our main file, we'll not be able to create a textbox object. So let's go back and uncomment this line. So to recap, if we have a method that we cannot define in a meaningful way, we should declare it as a pure virtual method with no implementation. Now, the shape class you defined earlier is a great candidate for being abstract. So make this class abstract by declaring the draw method as a pure virtual method.